What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's midweek update. I have some news for you. This is going to be the last midweek update that we do for a little while. Well, we have the holidays that are coming up, and plus we have a lot of stuff, a lot of very cool stuff planned for this channel. Um, right now, I'm a one-man band, and well, it takes a bit of time to get stuff going for the channel. So my focus is going to be on there. But if you want these daily, if you want updates like these every single day, we do provide them to our research program members. I've included a link down below in the description where you could get a free 2-week trial to that program and have updates on the market, have guidance, have uh, somebody that you could ask questions to throughout the day and be able to get real-time feedback. So check out the research program. And without further ado, let's hop into the market. So here is part of what we have going on. Well, right here, I have my action list for today. There's a lot of stocks on here, as you can see. One of the things that I like to do is I will, well, let's start from the general process of how do you find a whole bunch of stocks that are setting up, right? Because when we're uh, trying to trade part-time, this stuff can get real complicated in a hurry. So I want to walk you through my basic process. Now, before we hop into that, I see a few people typing into the comments already. If you guys like what we're doing here, you like the channel, you want more stuff in general, the more that you type into the chat, the more that's going to kick the algorithm into overdrive and help drive more people to see the show. So go ahead, type into the chat, like, comment, all that fun stuff. So anyhow, here's how I run my daily process. So basically, I start out in this application right here that's called Deep View. Now, what I do with Deep View is I will go through my universe list, and I've built this universe list up over time, and I will. It's pre-sorted with stocks that I find that have the fundamentals that I'm looking for, stocks that have the kinds of stories that I'm looking for. Plus, there's a few pet names that I just want to keep track of. Stocks like Apple, right? Like a stock like an Apple, a stock like a Netflix, they might not necessarily pass screens now. Microsoft, throw Microsoft in there too, but because they're so big and bulky and they don't quite move as quickly. But in my mind, they're worth keeping track of. So those names fall into the list too. Then what I'll do is I'll go through this whole big list here, right? And there, right now on this list, there's about 200 so names. I go through every stock on this list, and I'll flip through it fairly quickly to see what stocks are setting up. But you might notice that there's all these different columns here with all these different checks. Uh, these checks are checking for things that I find important in a stock that I want to trade, right? So just because I have a whole bunch of stocks on my universe, that doesn't mean that I'm interested in trading them all today, right? Like I want to trade them when they are set up in a technical way that gives me the best opportunity for success, that gives me the highest probability, high reward, low risk setup. Just like how, if you're familiar with my system Eagle, you may have heard me mention that before. If you've heard of Can Slim, which is O'Neill's system, it's similar, right? So I'm looking for all of the things that will get a stock onto my list, and so I'll flip through the names that are on this universe list with that check. So I'll expand the screen a little bit, and let's get rid of that. So we've got a little bit more room to scroll around down here. And so what I'll do is I'll go through all the names that have that little check on it. And I'll flip through the charts like this fairly quick, where because I know what I'm looking for, it's real easy for me to spot. Now, you might say to yourself, well, how do you know what you're looking for? The way that I know what I'm looking for is by going through this list right here. This is our playbook. I come over to, well, I've got this memorized, so I'm not actually going there yet. But for those of you that would create something similar to this, I would go over to your setup list, right? And let's make this a little bit bigger so you might be able to read some of this stuff, right? Let me know in the chat if you're able to read this, if it's clear enough. But basically, these are the types of setups that I'm looking for. I have them very clearly defined, right? I know what time frame to look for them on. I know how deep they should be, how long they should be, the general look and character of them. I even have a spot where I could click into one of these and pull up a model of what the setup should look like. This one is a cup with handle, and this is some of the criteria that I look for in a cup with handle. This is one that I actually traded. So I'll have that model book already imprinted in my mind. So when I'm going through and looking at all the stocks that are on this universe list here, I already know what it is that I'm looking for, and I could quickly move names over to my focus list. And that's the next step. And this is basically what I would do uh, uh, going back 15 years, really, at this point. I've been trading for a real long time. I've been trading for about 25 years now. And the first 10 were an absolute nightmare. It was when I finally developed a process for how am I going to find trades? How am I going to narrow them down? How do I know where to get in, where to get out, all that kind of stuff, and find the higher probability ones? That's when things started to click. And it's processes that I needed to develop while I was still working full time, while I still had the day job, while I was still going to school, while life changed and my family was growing. It had to fit all of that. And so that's why this process is find the group of stocks that have the ability to move up a lot. That's this initial building of the universe list, then going through that universe list, finding just the names that are setting up from it, right? So it, even there, it's to go through all the names here that have these check boxes probably takes me 10 to 15 minutes uh, once a day. And then once I've got that set, what I'll do is I take the names that I like, I put them onto this focus list. And then from the focus list, I'll go through it with a little bit more of a fine-tooth comb and see what qualities are there that really do match up with those model books that I showed you before, that whole list of the setups, this stuff here, right? Well, where did it go? This here, and make sure that it fits that criteria. So once I go through the focus list and I narrow it down even more, what I end up with are stocks that are ready to be on the action list if they were to break out. And so coming into today, there were just a handful that I wanted to monitor to see could they break out? Do they have potential? And actually set alerts on a bunch of them. So here's the stocks that I set alerts on, and this part I actually like to do over in TradingView. I just like to keep things separate. You probably could just do it all in deep view if that's your platform. If you're using something else like use thinkorswim, or whatever it is that you're using, the platform itself is less important than the overall structure of this of what we're talking about here, because the structure that we're talking about here is what's going to help you narrow the playing field very quickly and give you something that you'll be able to use part-time, and you can fill in the criteria yourself, right? Like, you don't have to go for the same kind of stocks that I'm going for. You don't even have to go for the same asset class. You might be trading Forex, you might be trading crypto, you might be trading baseball cards for that matter. So long as you have something where you're going to narrow the playing field and find, like, this is the one that I want, and have your outline of why, that's going to help you move quickly. It's going to help you filter out so much of the noise, and that's how you're going to be able to succeed. So these are the stocks that we're on here to start things off. And we've had a couple of alerts trigger, but the only one that I thought was worthy of execution at this point was Bros. And Bros has actually moved on to my open trades list because I ended up executing when price started to follow through this morning. And so far, it's moving up and out, and it looks okay. We'll see what happens. There's still plenty of time left in the trading day for Bros. Now, you might be saying to yourself, what did I like about this? It looks extended. It's getting into highs over here. Well, why would you want to trade that? The reason why is because it was setting up in a pattern that tends to show up after a stock reports earnings, and it's called a short stroke. Now, what's a short stroke? It's a 2-week pattern. It's a pattern that William O'Neill found many years ago. And it's a very powerful pattern because it generally happens right after earnings. So we're looking at a weekly chart right now. And this week right here was the week that Dutch Bros reported earnings. And you can see how there's this big weekly bar right here, right? Price shot up 41%. Incredible. Then it was followed by a down week that occurred right toward the top of this weekly range. Now, that's important because it's letting us know that most people that bought the stock aren't in a huge rush to dump it. One, because price is holding up near its highs, but two, the volume on this week was about half, maybe even less than half of what it was on the week that it shot up like that. So again, it's telling us that people are not eager to dump this stock and just take profits. Great. So when price is able to break out here, then that's giving us incentive to say, okay, price is following through. There's more left in the tank. Let's give it a shot. And so that's what I ended up doing with Bros when it broke out of that trade this morning. So right now, I'm not very heavy in the market at all. I took a lot of profits last week, the week before. I've got Bros and I've got Tesla. Tesla was started when it broke out. Very similar pattern, right? This wasn't a short stroke down here when it broke out, but it did gap up, and then I bought it the next day when it started to follow through, sold some into strength, and now I'm holding on to the rest here. So anyhow, let me know what questions you guys have. Let me know what comments you guys have so far. Just reading through the chat, it looks like Caleb is saying something here about I'm here we're early watching live, and the show doesn't start until about 11:01. Please, sounds like you're mid-sentence. Interesting. Yeah, just the way the live stream goes, there's a little bit of a delay. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's also talk about the general market too, because if you guys remember, the best way that I've found to identify, well, how's the market doing, is by looking at it through these three lenses here. Now, we already talked about personal performance a little bit, and we also talked about the system. Those are the stocks that are setting up. And heading into today, there were quite a bit of them. And I wanted to see, well, how does the market treat these stocks that are set up? That's going to be a big part of, uh, well, how's the general market? Are things going well or are they not? That's what this part of the market mood is. So we also want to take a look at the general market. So let's take a look at the general market. Pull this back up, and here's what we got. So we have the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000, the New York Stock Exchange, the Dow, and this is the IBD 50, which is a fairly decent representation of the types of stocks that I like to trade. There's a few things that jump out at me when I look at the general indexes. Number one, they've all pulled back. Number two, they've all pulled back to on or around their 21 period exponential moving averages. That's that purple line, right? So right over here. Number three, they're all sitting on prior resistance levels. For example, you have the S&P 500, which ran up, it pulled back. If we look to the left of the chart, there's all this right here from October, and price is sitting right there as it digests its recent move. Same thing is happening with the NASDAQ. Same thing is happening with the Russell and the rest of them. So they're all moving in very similar ways, right? And they're all tightening, they're all digesting. So when I see that and I combine it with what we already saw from the stocks that we're setting up, that's telling me that, yeah, we're in a digestion phase, we're in a consolidation phase. But because there were so many stocks that were setting up, we could be starting to get ready for the next wave. Whether that next wave is going to be up or down, we don't know yet. But that's part of what doing the whole screening process and monitoring how the market treats those stocks is going to help tell us. And it's far better information than tuning into the any of the major media outlets, going to any of the stock trading websites out there. The best news that you're going to get, bar none, is from the market itself. Now, if we were to just take what's being said here on the daily time frames, that would be one thing. But we also want to take a look at the context. We want to zoom out and look at, well, what do things look like on weekly charts? What do things look like on monthly charts as well? So let's go over to those. And well, on the monthly time frames, looks like the market's still in an uptrend. It doesn't look like what we're seeing over the past couple of days, this little pullback, is even perceptible, right? So we're really taking things under the microscope when we're looking at the daily time frame. That's important to keep in mind because, well, the broader trend is still favorable. It's still in an uptrend. So allow things to consolidate and wait for the ideal setup. And we know what the ideal setup is because we take the time to define it. And if you haven't taken the time to define it, you should. And that's part of what's going to allow you to trade trade within this broader uptrend. You take a look at the weekly time frames here, and they've pulled back to their 10-week lines, and they're reversing, going back to the top of their ranges. We still have plenty of week left, but we'll see what happens here. Something else that jumps out at me, again, they're all moving in roughly the same direction. I think that that's a good thing, and it shows for the possibility of a more powerful trend versus you have one index going one way, another index going the other way. That's when you tend to have more choppiness versus constructive consolidation. What I'm seeing here on the indexes, what I've seen in many stocks is constructive consolidation. So that that's a brief telling of where we are at in the market right now. So I see a lot of you watching over on YouTube. There's a few more of you watching over on X. I appreciate you guys being here. If you have questions, now's the time. Put them into the chat. Let me know what you'd like to talk about, what you'd like to discuss. If you are not already on our newsletter, make sure that you get onto the newsletter. It's absolutely free. You go over to merrillwealth.com/newsletter, put in your name and email, and we'll get it right to you. Other than that, let's see what else is going on here. Just scrolling through the chat here. All right. Here's a question about an alert that was set. So one of the stocks that was on my watch list for last night was this one right here, CXW. Now, at the time, well, when CXW was now on the radar last night, I'll click the replay button so that way. And this is a very useful feature. I recommend using this replay feature. So when this stock popped up on the radar yesterday, CXW, I like the setup quite a bit. I saw it as a standard pullback. Price had run up tremendously after earnings. Then it started to pull back into the 10-day exponential moving average. It was doing that on much lower volume. So just like how we were talking before about Dutch Bros and about a couple of other names, this one too, big run up after earnings. Price pulls back. People aren't eager to sell it yet, and we know that they're not eager to sell it yet because the volume on the pullback was low. So this was one that I wanted to potentially just place a working order for, right? Just buy it if it breaks out. And I put it through this tool that I have that's called the Trade Gauntlet. The Trade Gauntlet. Now, I'll show you what the Trade Gauntlet is. It's on my website right here. You go to merrillwealth.com, you come over to tools, and you click on Trade Gauntlet Calculator. This thing is free. You don't need to log in or anything. You can just use it. So when I find a trade that I really like, that I want to potentially place a working order for, I'll make it jump through all of the hoops that you see here. And there's a lot of hoops, a lot of check boxes that I want to see. Does it have this criteria? Now, nothing is going to have 100% of the criteria, but if it has 70%, and I'll know that because it'll get a score of 7 or higher, then that's when I will place the working order. But not everything will pass with a 7 or better. And when they don't, I used to just take those stocks and toss them and not even look at them. But well, what I've come to realize with even deeper study is that when stocks break out, if the breakout is good, if the breakout is on heavy duty volume, uh, then that can wipe away a lot of flaws, including a bad gauntlet score. It's almost like, the kid that's in high school, maybe not the best student, but they're also the best player on the basketball team or on the football team or something like that. And so they tend to get a little bit more leeway. That's what a strong breakout can be for your stock. So when I was looking at at this one here at CXW, it only scored a 6 and change. So not good enough to just place the working order, but I wanted to set an alert. So if price triggered my alert, and I had the alert set at $22.10, just above yesterday's high, then that would be my cue to go check out the price action, see what it's doing. So fast forward to today, right? Turn this off. And here's what price did. It actually triggered the alert. So awesome. I'll come over here and I'll see, well, how did it trigger the alert? And it triggered it in the first half an hour. So I'll come over and take a look at the 5-minute chart, right? And it actually triggered it right at the open. Great. So I want to give it a few moments to see what it's going to do. And what did it do? It immediately pulled back and pulled back some more. And that was telling me, fine, you need more time. I'm not going to trade you immediately. Maybe later on, maybe if price reverses and comes back strong, it'll be worth a trade. But for right now, the answer is no. And that's the difference between trades that I will place an alert on versus trades that I'll place a working order on. If it was a working order, I would just be in this right now and that would be it. But I would be willing to, because it passed my criteria by at least 70%. All righty. Any other questions? Any other questions? All righty. If there's no other questions, then for those of you that like this, that want to get more of it to have something like this every single day, I just put into the chat our research program. And here is the research program. Now, what the research program is going to give you is kind of like what we just went through, but with even more detail. And you'll be getting it every single day, along with a report, along with the playbook. And in fact, why don't I show you what yesterday's looked like? Just log it in real quick right here. Yeah, here's what it looked like. It came with a video, 17 and a half minute video. It came with the playbook that we were just looking at that has all the different logs, the open trades, action list, everything that you have here, focus list. So that way you could just go and take a look at the stocks that are setting up, or at least you know that these are ones that I'm personally interested in, and you know where I'm looking to put my own money. Um, Again, you get that video explanation with it, and you get this entire report here. And this is sent out every single day. So yeah, go check it out. You have a free 2-week trial to the research program. If you have any questions about it, just let me know. Yeah, Caleb just posted in the chat. I am in the research program. Highly recommend. This has greatly helped my risk management and oftentimes confirms things I'm seeing as well. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for that, Caleb. The check is in the mail. but no, seriously. This this is built to help you. This is what I wish that I had when I was trading part-time. Well, when I was first starting out. Yeah, it's great to be able to read books and do this stuff on your own. It's quite another thing to be able to do it with other people that have experience, that can help you avoid some of the potholes, and like Caleb said, help to confirm or to maybe point out some of the holes of what it is that you might be seeing, and to give you a little bit of extra guidance. So that's the research program. And that is it for today. So I want to thank you all so much for watching. We'll continue with the Traders Mind Chat show. That is going to be this Friday. We're going to continue to run that. We're going to continue to run the Trading Truths podcast that I host with my good friend Dennis Wilborn. And we're going to have a lot more cool stuff coming out on the channel very soon. So look forward to that. Happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you beforehand, and take care. Much love and God bless.